Okay, so here we are, day 2 of 4.3. So we'll start off. I'm not going to give you the homework answers. It'd be dumb for me to tell you the homework answers. Why would that be dumb?
Because they're on the back of the book.
They're all in the back of the book. They're all odds. All we did is the odds. They're all back there. So yesterday, I hope you had some success with things to 11. If you did, great. If you didn't, we can try to troubleshoot that in a minute. They're probably off camera. I'll do one more just to reinforce the idea of what we're doing. So, round 1, as I was calling it yesterday, what were we trying to accomplish yesterday in round 1?
Finding x, y,
Get away the X.
Get rid of some x's. Get rid of how many x's?
All of them.
well, 2.
2 of them. We get rid of 2 of them. So I'd always pick an equation that I wanted to keep. Out of these 3, which would be my keeper? Probably the top one. That has the smallest amount of x's. That looks like the simplest of the 3 equations to deal with later. So I'm just going to keep that one the way it is. Then I'd like to use the 2 to eliminate the 3. So we're doing the addition method. So when we add, we like to have some opposites. We don't have them right now. So how, focusing on the 2 versus the 3, could I create some opposites?
Multiply the top by -3.
Okay, and multiply the middle one by 2. So if I multiply the top by -3, I'd get
-3x, or 6x, minus 9y, minus 12z, equals -60.
agreed. And if I multiply the middle row by 2, I'd get
6x, minus 8y, plus 10z, equals 20.
agreed. I'll add those together. X's are gone. Y count,
-17,
Z count,
-2,
and number count.
-40.
Agreed. So we're halfway through round 1. Half of the job on round 1 is bumping off an X. We just bumped off an X. What's the other half of the job on round 1?
Do it with the bottom.
Do it with the bottom as well. So for 2 to bump off 4, that's actually a little easier. For 2 to bump off 4, what is our move?
Copy the bottom and then
Copy the bottom as it is. 4x plus 8y minus 6z is 2. The bottom doesn't need to change this time because we can make opposites by multiplying the top
by -2,
by -2. So I get my -4x
minus 6y,
minus 6y
minus 8z,
minus 8z
minus 40.
minus 40. Addition, x's are gone. Y count, 2. Z count,
-14,
-14. Number count,
38, -38.
-38. And then we're done with what I was calling yesterday round 1. Question about round 1, how we're using the x, creating some opposites, bumping off the other 2 x's, keep the simplest one alive, create 2 new ones in place of the old 2 ones. But now it's a 2x2 system. About that. Okay, here's something you don't have to do. This would be like an advanced tip, but you could use this if you like. There's something that I notice I can do to these. I wasn't really thinking in these terms yesterday. Maybe we could have done this yesterday. But what's something that we can do to all of these? Take out a 2. If you ever notice that and you want to shrink these equations by dividing them all by a number, you can do that. So if you want to make this just a regular y minus a 7z and a -19 instead, you're welcome to do that. You don't have to do that, but if you like to shrink as you go, then that'd be fine. Out of these 2, which one looks preferable for keeping for later? I'd say the bottom one. So I'll circle that one to be my friend for later, and then I'm going to try to play these y's off of each other. So if we want to play the y's off of each other, how could the 17 versus the 2 play off of each other?
-15 y.
Then-
No, sorry. You would multiply the top by 2.
Yeah, do the 17 thing by 2, and do the 2 thing
By 17.
by 17. So somebody, 17 by 2, -34. Continue to multiply by 2. 4z -8, yeah, I agree. The bottom, multiplying by 17, we're gonna get a 34y, and then probably for most people, you have an uh-oh moment. 14 by 17, use machinery if you must. I think I know. That's what I was thinking. And then we need to do the 38 also by 17, so 604, 606,
646.
646?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm way off.
Yeah, it's 646.
All right. Add those together, Z count.
Negative 242.
Don't let it freak you out if in the middle the numbers get big. Okay, that sometimes happens. Over here we're getting negative 726. Then what are we hoping happens here?
Becomes a really small number.
That we get a really small number and hopefully a whole number. And if you get a whole number, you feel like your confidence just increased, and it is 3. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. If this hadn't divided evenly, but it had divided to fill your whole screen, almost certainly that means something's wrong, okay? The homework you did last night, again, all the odds were in the back, so there's no surprise here, but they were all whole numbers, 5 or less. When you get into the 13 to 21, when you get about halfway through the tonight version of this, you're going to get a fraction happen in the middle of it, and then you're going to get a bunch of fractions happen after that. But they're going to be fractions like halves and thirds. They're not going to be fractions like 725 over 241. Like, that's not going to happen. So we got the Z, then what? What do you do after you get the Z?
Plug it into the circle one.
Plug it into the more recent circle one. So we go to this, we have a 2y sitting there, minus 14z combo makes 42. So still equal negative 38. So you add the 42. That'll get us into the positive territory by 4. So y must be 2. And that's more confidence inspiring. That's another friendly little whole number. Then where are we getting the x?
Plug it back into the farthest one.
All the way farthest back to the original friend that I circled that had a 2x plus 3y now is going to take on a value of 6 plus 4z will take on a value of 12, still equals 20. This part combines to make 18, subtract that out of there to get 2, so x must be 1. And that's just got to be right. I mean, 1, 2, 3, come on, that had to be rigged. If you have a back of the book, you look at that. If you're a teacher with a paper, you look it up. I don't need to look it up. I remember the answer was going to be 1, 2, 3 from when I already peeked at my paper this morning when I started to put the notes up. That is correct. If you're on a take-home test, what's the only way you know that you're right at that point? You check it. You have to plug it in the check, and it has to work at all the levels. But that's what we're doing, so we just continue on our project today. So what should have happened, and I hope happened, is you had some success up to 11. If you didn't, I think we'll cut the record, and I'll just mingle and try to problem solve with people individually, but probably not record, because it's important for you to be able to do these yourself. And if you can't, I'll visit you, but I'm not going to give these away. There's only 5, so I'm not going to do like 2 on the board like I usually do, because you need to do these. I'm not going to demand perfection on this, I never do, but part of the process is getting these right. So if you have 5 wrong answers, I don't want those. If you got at least 3 of them right, and they're honestly right, because I'm going to track through and look at your work and make sure you weren't fudging me on these. At least 3 of them right, tried all 5, then I'm ready to receive that paper. If you're not at that level, I'll mingle, I'll help you, I'll see where I can spot mistakes. Once upon a time, I did this homework. And in my book, you can see, a front row can verify, there's all sorts of like, I have this, and I have this in my book, and I've got this in my book. I'm staring at a like 242Z thing in my book. Like I said, one of these probably got into this like 20s and 60s for a second, and then this was in like the 700s on mine. There's one that went pretty big in the middle. But if you're good on the stuff to 11, just take some class time and start working on the 13 to 21, or start working on the take-home. So in terms of due dates, tomorrow the stuff to 21 is due. Tomorrow we will have a lesson, and there will be a new homework based off of some story problems. Usually story problems are scary, bad news. This section, the story ones, are easier to solve than this page. So we're going to go up a page, and the story problems, I think, are easier to solve than the take-home ones are, which is a strange turn of events compared to how the story problems usually go. I think there's maybe 2 that are of this difficulty level, but the majority of them are going to go easier than this. It's just sort of the luck of the draw. Tomorrow's Thursday. Friday we would do another lesson that involves some book homework, and then come around for Monday, there will be a new book homework due, but also that take-home will do. So the take-home is designed for you to do in bits and pieces, not to do the whole thing Monday morning. So Monday you'll turn that in. I would do that in bits and pieces. As soon as you're getting some of the odds right, if you've had any success on the 174, getting anything right, feel free to start the take-home. If you have not yet gotten anything right on 174, I would not start the take-home until you're starting to get some of them right from the 174. But when that starts to happen, start to like live a divided world. Question about what's due when, or like a question about the overall strategy of how this happened, of something that's worth recording for posterity, anything like that. So let's cut that.